How's everybody doing this evening? My name is Kent, and the channel is EOS San Diego. And of course, I make videos about the EOS blockchain, and also about our application, the challenge application, which is currently downloadable in the Google Play Store. So please download the challenge application. Very easy to set up an account. We're going to give you some free tokens if you do set up an account and do a challenge. You get 20 free tokens if you just set up the account. If you want to go ahead and follow through and do a challenge on the blockchain, you will get 2,500 tokens. Very easy to do. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a layer to this application where you can actually find other people. So there's going to be a way to see everybody that's close to you doing challenges and be able to find people on the application to do challenges with. And we'll have a news feed and do some other stuff. So we got a lot of stuff planned here. And you know, a lot of this stuff, like when you go on and you make an account with EOS or with the challenge, you create a new account. That runs on a side chain. It's running on mainnet, but it's also running on a side chain. So that's another thing going on. A lot of people are creating these side chains, which is very interesting because it all runs on the same software, but it doesn't run on mainnet because, you know, of course, it congested traffic, and you get as much as you can on the side chain. So that's what some of this is run on side chain. So yeah, that's happening a lot more now, and you see a lot of people starting side chains running the EOS software. Of course, we knew that from the very beginning when they launched the software, that a lot of people will be running other chains using the same EOS IO software, and that's what a lot of people are doing right now. But what I want to talk about tonight a little bit is I want to talk about the fact that in all ICOs throughout the history of ICO, initial coin offering, raising money, only one has raised anything close to $4 billion. I mean, EOS has raised more money than anybody else. Nobody's even come close to the $4 billion. So EOS stands alone as far as raising money. And they raised money at a good time. I mean, they were able to get $4 billion, raised it in a year, and of course raised a lot of money, have a big war chest. A lot of people ask me what I think of other chains, and of course I always say, well, I'm with EOS because EOS is the one that has raised the most amount of money, has the most amount of money to work with, has the most resources to work with, has, you know, the ability to hire developers and team, create activity with their money. So that's why I always say EOS is the only place to be, because they put the most amount, get the most amount of money to work with. And as we all know, money helps to create activity, and money helps for success. So EOS has got more money than anybody else. That's why I think they're going to be more successful than anybody else. And I think that's exactly why more and more people are starting to gravitate towards EOS, as we've seen in the past. And why I think that as people start to figure out blockchain, they will find EOS and know that EOS is the most scalable, the blockchain with the most to work with. So that's why I think it's always going to be successful. That's why I was always an investor in EOS, will continue to be an investor in EOS. The other thing I want to talk about a little bit tonight is I want to talk about there's a certain, we call it governance on the blockchain. And the governance is, you know, how decisions are made on a blockchain, how certain things are done on a blockchain. For instance, one of the big things going on right now is vote buying for block producers. So in the beginning, that was against the governance of the blockchain, was to be able to buy votes. Now it seems to be very common practice to buy votes. People are doing it all the time. I see where my friend Colin made a video about people trying to get him to pay him for his votes, for his proxy. That's getting to be something that it's just the way it is. I mean, if block producers are going to pay for people to vote for them, that's just the way it is. And there's really it's a global mentality going on here, and a global ethics, and not all ethics are going to be identical. Some people's ethics are going to be different than other people's ethics. Some people are going to be highly ethical, and they're not going to want things to be done that way, where you can buy somebody a position as a block producer. Other people are going to say, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way it is. That's the way the blockchain works. The blockchain is kind of a free-flowing, uninhibited, not a very regulated area. And I really think that's what will eventually be the way the blockchain runs. Is the blockchain will be run without a lot of barriers and a lot of rules and regulations, and it's just going to run this way. Although I'm not one that favors that for particular way of having it run, but that's the way it's going to run, and I think that's the way people like it to run. That's why people can have their accounts stolen, and not too many people they're upset about it, but they're not going to put a remedy in place for that to reverse it, because people don't want it reversed. They like the way it runs. People don't want there not to be vote buying. That's the way it runs. So I think those kind of moral choices are getting played out in the blockchain, and I think that what eventually will win out is that people are going to let you pretty much, it's a free-for-all. You can do what you want to do. That's the way blockchain is. There's a certain element of people that like it that way. They want to keep it that way, and you're never going to put a set of rules in place for people all to follow. Nobody's going to follow them. They're going to do what they want to do. That's what they've been doing all along. So it's not only an experiment in distributed database and non-centralized, decentralized systems. It's also an experiment of a global system of operations, a global systems of rules, and how things are going to operate. That's really the experiment going on here. And of course, it's playing out in the blockchain world. And it's kind of interesting because we know we're going global, but how does a global system run? What ethics rule? What governance rules? What do people really want? How do they want it to run? And I think they want to run by code and not by rules. The code will run the blockchain, and the code will run the way this is when we're done. It's the law of the code. The rule of the blockchain will be the code and how it's written, and that's the way it's going to operate, and that's the way it's probably going to run. Like I say, regardless of what you feel about what's going on right now, that will determine the future of blockchain. And I think the future is going to be a future of whatever's written in code is the way it's going to operate and the way it's going to run, and rules and regulations and governance and stuff like that. It's going to be very hard to enforce and very hard to put in place. So, interesting experiment going on here. That's why I love blockchain. This is why I love the EOS blockchain, because it's setting standards that we know are going to have extreme effects on the rest of the world forever, for a long time, and it's interesting how this is all working out. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.